Okay, here's something that might just flip your understanding of human behavior a bit.
Oh, go on.
Well, for generations, we've sort of accepted that certain things are just, well, human, universal, you know.
Like what?
Like soothing a baby with a song or, people dancing together. It just feels like a given, doesn't it?
It really does. Part of the furniture.
Exactly. But what if?
Yeah.
What if those aren't universal instincts at all?
Okay. Yes, that's precisely the fascinating question at the heart of some new research we've been digging into.
Right.
It really challenges this long-held assumption, suggests that maybe two behaviors we think are fundamentally human, lullabies and dancing, might not be, well, absolutely universal.
And we've got some material on this.
We do. We've got excerpts from an article outlining the work and also the researchers' actual detailed report to unpack today.
Okay, so your mission, should you choose to continue listening, and we really hope you do, is to kind of journey with us as we explore this.
Yeah, see what this new perspective tells us.
What can it tell us about, the sheer diversity of human cultures, and maybe the origins of things we just assumed were baked into our human blueprint?
We're definitely aiming for those aha moments.
Trying to broaden understanding, but, without getting bogged down in jargon.
Definitely. And the core question, the thing we'll be wrestling with, is this.
Okay.
Are lullabies and dancing sort of hardwired? Do they just pop up everywhere spontaneously?
Oh.
Or are they learned traditions, cultural things that maybe under certain circumstances can actually be absent?
And that's where the Northern Aché come in.
That's where they come in. This group in Paraguay, their experience is really making people rethink this.
Now, this idea, the universality thing,
Yeah.
it hasn't just been a casual thought, has it?
Yeah.
It's been pretty significant in anthropology for ages.
Oh, absolutely. A pillar, really. It's even shaped how people thought about the evolution of music itself.
How so?
Well, the presumed universality, it's been key for evolutionary theories. The idea was, social bonding through group dance and that mother-infant connection through song.
Those were seen as crucial drivers, pushing the development of musicality in our species. So finding a group where these seem to be missing, that's a real challenge.
It throws a wrench in the works.
It really does. Makes you wonder if maybe those evolutionary paths looked a bit different, at least for some communities.
Okay, so let's get into the Northern Aché then. Who are they and why is their experience so, well, pivotal here?
Right. So the Northern Aché are an indigenous people living in the rainforests of eastern Paraguay. And what makes their situation so insightful is this incredibly extensive field work by an anthropologist, Kim Hill.
Extensive how?
We're talking over 4 decades, like 122 months actually living with and observing the Aché between 1977 and 2020.
Wow. Immersion.
Total immersion. And during all that time, Hill made this really striking, unexpected observation.
Which was the thing that's making us question everything.
Simply put, despite all that time, that deep connection, he never once saw the Northern Aché dancing or singing lullabies.
Wait, never. In 40 years. Never observed it. Given the duration, the intimacy of the research, that absence is really, really remarkable.
It is surprising. You'd think, singing a song to a crying baby.
Yeah.
It feels so basic.
Exactly. And the research itself, the lead author, Manvir Singh, he emphasizes how this really challenges that widely accepted view.
What does Singh say specifically?
Well, he points out that if these behaviors were supposed to be like foundational for music's evolution, then their absence in a culture forces us to reconsider those stories, those evolutionary narratives. It suggests maybe the development of music isn't tied so tightly to these specific things universally.
And just to be clear, Hill wasn't just like a fly on the wall. He was properly integrated.
Oh, completely. Lived with them, ate with them, learned the language, got to know their daily concerns. Family, friends, worries about providing. He stressed that they're fundamental human experiences, very much like ours. This wasn't superficial.
Okay. So what about singing in general? Was there any music? Just not, lullabies or dancing?
Yes, singing did exist, but it was relatively limited, and mostly individuals singing alone.
Right.
Men seemed to sing more than women. Their songs were often about, hunting success, but also current events, even social squabbles.
Interesting. And women.
Women's singing was less common and almost always about remembering loved ones who had passed away. And kids, apparently, sometimes mimicked the adult songs they heard.
But still, even with that kind of singing happening, no lullabies directed at babies.
None observed.
And this is despite the fact that, Aché parents obviously have to soothe fussy babies, right? The researchers mention that.
That's a crucial point, yeah. They absolutely do comfort their infants. They use playful speech, make funny faces, smile, giggle things we'd recognize.
So they are interacting to calm them.
Yes, but the researchers specifically highlight this, given how well lullabies work elsewhere, the calming effect.
Uh-huh.
It seems logical that Aché parents would find them useful. The fact they weren't seen suggests it's not because they don't need them or have some other magic calming technique.
It suggests the practice itself just wasn't there.
Exactly. A genuine absence.
Okay, so if it's not a lack of need, what's the explanation? Why would these things be absent? The researchers have a theory, right, about lost practices.
They do. The main idea they put forward is that both dance and infant-directed song were probably lost because of population bottlenecks.
Bottlenecks, like
Yeah.
drastic reductions in population size.
Precisely. Events that massively shrink a population. The thinking is, these events in the Aché's history could have led to a loss of cultural knowledge, skills, practices, including these musical ones.
And it wasn't just potentially music and dance that vanished.
No, the research suggests other things might have gone at the same time. Things like shamanistic traditions, certain ways of farming, and even, believe it or not, the knowledge of how to make fire.
Wow. Losing fire-making knowledge.
Yeah.
That really puts losing lullabies and dancing in perspective, if you can lose fire.
It underscores how even fundamental things aren't guaranteed to stick around culturally.
But they also look at another possibility, right? Linked to more recent history, reservations.
That's correct. The alternative idea is that maybe these practices disappeared when the Northern Aché were settled onto reservations. That was a period of huge disruption. And other traditional things did decline then, like puberty ceremonies, hunting magic. So it's plausible that dance and lullabies got lost in that shuffle too.
And there's also the factor of, well, recent contact, potentially introducing these things after the main study period.
Yes, they acknowledge that. Especially contact with, say, Paraguayan missionaries after Hill finished his long fieldwork stretch in 2020.
Right.
So it's possible that dance and lullabies might have been introduced or reintroduced more recently. What Hill saw up to 2020 might not be the full picture right now.
This whole discussion really highlights that difference, doesn't it, between behaviors that might be innate, hardwired, and those that are learned, passed down.
Exactly. This research strongly backs the idea that lullabies and dancing are learned behaviors. They don't just appear spontaneously like, say, smiling seems to.
They compare it to fire making again, don't they?
They do, a skill that seems essential, maybe, but isn't universally known. It has to be discovered or, more often, taught and learned.
So even if humans have some, inherent capacity for music or rhythm,
Yeah.
it seems like the cultural transmission part is absolutely vital. You need someone to pass it on for it to actually exist in a society.
That's the key takeaway, really. As Singh and the team argue, even if we have evolved certain predispositions, certain potentials for music or dance, the actual transmission through culture is far more critical for keeping these practices alive than maybe we appreciated before.
So this finding about the Northern Aché, it really punches a hole in the idea of dance and lullabies being these like absolute universals,
Right.
things that define humanity everywhere.
Precisely. The researchers even say, look, we don't consider fire making an absolute universal necessity. Not every group figured it out independently.
Right.
So by the same logic, why automatically assume lullabies and dance are absolute universals? Maybe they shouldn't be in that category.
But just to be clear, this doesn't mean humans don't have the potential for these things.
No, that's a really important distinction. The findings fit perfectly well with a universal psychological capacity, the basic ability to engage with music, with rhythm. That seems fundamentally human.
Okay.
But whether that capacity manifests as specific lullabies or specific dances, that seems to depend entirely on cultural learning, on transmission.
And what about the fact that, lullabies in different cultures often sound kind of similar, or dances have common features? Is that just coincidence?
Well, the researchers suggest that's likely convergent cultural evolution. Meaning different groups facing similar needs, like calming a baby or expressing joy together, independently came up with similar sounding or similar looking solutions.
Ah, okay. Not because there's one fixed instinct producing the same result everywhere.
Exactly. More like different people inventing the wheel separately because, well, wheels are useful for the same reasons everywhere.
This really drives home how valuable it is to study these more isolated populations, doesn't it? Communities like the Northern Aché, they offer this unique window.
Totally. A crucial window for testing these big claims about human universals.
Yeah.
Studying these remote, minimally acculturated communities, as they put it, is critical. Their unique histories, maybe including traumatic events like those bottlenecks, can have these profound, sometimes surprising effects on what cultural traditions they actually maintain. It can reveal absences we'd never expect.
Okay, so to really boil it down then, the key insight here, the big takeaway, is that this research on the Aché suggests lullabies and dancing, despite being super common, might not actually be universally present. It really highlights how powerful culture is, how crucial it is in shaping even things that seem utterly basic to being human.
And just to add that extra layer of intrigue, don't forget the fire-making thing. The fact they might have lost that ability, too. It's such a stark parallel. It reinforces the idea that even essential-seeming practices, whether tech or social stuff, can just vanish from a culture.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
For you, listening, especially if you're keen on gaining knowledge, having those aha moments, this really challenges some deep assumptions. It opens up this fascinating perspective on how diverse and maybe sometimes how fragile our cultural practices can be.
Yeah, and it leaves you with this question to ponder, doesn't it? If things that feel so fundamental, like singing to babies or dancing together, can actually disappear from a culture, what other parts of our lives, things we take completely for granted, might be more culturally specific, more contingent than we realize?
That's a great question.
It really makes you want to dig deeper into, cultural anthropology, ethnomusicology. Just keep unraveling that incredibly complex tapestry of what humans do and why.